Welcome back to Trade Paper Hacks, episode 43, Music Multiverse, number 4.
Number 4.
Let's make it more complicated. We need the Dewey Decimal System of podcasting.
Stop turning your head that way.
I'm
Point
trying,
one.
man. I'm really trying.
Point
I don't want
one,
to even look at that direction.
This is 0 year.
Wait, what's wrong with your neck?
It's a thing.
What's wrong with it?
It's twinged.
What'd you do to it?
I slept on it wrong.
You failed at sleeping?
I failed at sleeping. Yes, I failed at sleeping.
Everybody in America, in the world, ever, for all the time sleeps, and you managed to screw it up?
I screwed it up. Oh, God. I hate you so much. You talked about it, and you made it come back with a vengeance. Welcome back to Trade Paper Hacks, episode 43, Music Multiverse number 4. We are joined in studio today by Svenny Baby. Local musicians, Dance Prog Rock. I think that's what we're calling it.
Dance Prog Rock. That works for us.
So before the break, we were starting to get into some Dark Tower stuff, but before we go even further into that, I'd like to ask you guys about your personal influences and the style of, because earlier you said that everybody kind of writes songs. Duddy was saying that everybody's a songwriter. And so what I'm going to ask is, in regards to your instrument and maybe how you fit into Svenny Baby, how is songwriting or music creation different for you, and what are your influences related to it? So ask you that annoyingly complex question.
Okay, there was a lot of parts to that. I'm Victor, and I play the keyboard. So I listened to, when I was learning how to play, I was listening to Billy Joel a lot and Elton John. And then I got into Ben Folds, and he's the guy I'm listening to a lot. But I also have the synth side, so I have to listen to a lot of Daft Punk and Passion Pit.
And some Wham.
Oh man, Victor is Wham's biggest fan by far. He's been to the bathroom where George Michael got caught. there's a little shrine and everything. Oh, he has pictures. It's great.
There's a
Go
shrine.
to my Facebook, guys. Add me, and all you can see this. So, what I like to do, I really like to dissect songs, take them apart, and steal them, and steal like some of the good stuff, and incorporate it into what I would like to write. That's what I do.
I was really glad you said Ben Folds, because I'm listening to the music. I'm like, there's some Ben Folds 5 in this. It doesn't sound so much Ben Folds like post that group, but that Ben Folds 5 album.
Holly's
Ben Folds 5.
very
And I was like, I like it. It's good. That's the like the stuff I was listening to when I was first getting into college and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to hear somebody appreciate that stuff nowadays.
And boobs.
Ben Folds 5.
Yeah.
Oh, check that out.
Hey.
Are you jealous
Legit
now,
status.
Alex? You don't get to do the costume change?
I typically take my shirt off and have a costume on underneath. So that's what they're getting at.
Once it was a Spider-Man, and the other time it was a Luchador, so
Yeah.
Nice.
you guys are lucky that that's not happening tonight. Anybody else want to field that question? It's rough and complex, but basically, how do you feel your songwriting and influences, etc.?
So, I was take you on a quick musical journey. All my mom listened to was techno. All my dad listened to was Ozzy Osbourne.
Wow.
So I was a very from 0 to 12 was just that. That's all I knew existed. And then I started getting on this wonderful site called Newgrounds, and Newgrounds loved this genre of music called ska, and
Right on.
loved it, and that's where a lot of my influence started. Bands like Real Big Fish and Streetlight Manifesto, those were like, if I had a spirit animal, it'd just be a checkerboard. It would just be a checkerboard trombone. That's all.
Okay, right
all
on.
it would be. And then I got all punk. I played in punk bands in high school, so a lot of all that stuff. Got into college, discovered jazz and this band called Snarky Puppy, which they're just like fusion stuff, and the drummer for that is Robert Seawright, and just killer. Just amazing. I've seen them like 4 times. Just awesome. But a lot of gospel, as they call gospel chop, just all over the kit. And so I've and then of course I love rap. I love Eminem, and I'm really into all the new indie rap like Watsky and Blue Scholars and all those guys. So I have a lot of influence in what I call what you call halftime. So if the beat's here, like most pop songs, it's doom cat, doom cat, doom cat. But halftime moves that and shifts it over to 1 and 3. Doom cat, doom doom cat. And I love halftime. And rap does halftime a lot. All the punk bands, that's like the breakdown.
Yeah.
Like it's always in halftime. So and we'll be in rehearsal.
That's kind of awesome to hear you get in depth on a particular musical technique like that. That's pretty good stuff.
It's my favorite thing. That and triplets are just my favorite musical things ever.
Right on.
So,
That's great.
and this band lets me do both of those.
Can I ask a nerdy question?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between going in halftime at 120 beats per second and then just doing a song at like 60 beats per second?
There's not really a difference. It's how the beat is perceived.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna let's say this is.
So if you're hitting hard on one and then you have another one on
Yeah.
three.
So like let's say that it's probably not, but let's say this is 60.
Okay.
A song at 60 is gonna feel different than a song at 120 because this is where it sits. Yum, ba-dum, ba-da-bum, ba-dum. But if you double that and put in a halftime, dum, ba-da-ba-da-dum, the background music, what's supporting it, is gonna feel different because now this was supporting it before, and this is supporting it now.
Yep.
So you could I've written songs where the beat is technically 180, but it feels 90. So it depends on what you want to accomplish, and also for more like orchestral stuff, how you want it to look on the page.
Okay, so one of my favorite things to tell people when I'm saying explain something to me is the old Michael Scott thing from The Office. Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay.
No, and can you? And that was great. I got everything you just said.
Uh-huh.
What is it that you do for a living?
I teach
Teach
K
5-year-olds.
I teach K through 5 general music.
So you teach 5-year-olds. So that's why that was so good.
That's why it works for you.
So I was just saying this in the break. When I was growing up, my mom only let me listen to Christian music, which was kind of a blessing because I'm not real big into like contemporary Christian, but gospel music has some like absolutely ridiculous musicians because even like in the area, like Snarky Puppy, the band he really likes, this great jazz fusion band. All those dudes, before they made it big, were playing in churches, playing gospel music on the stuff. And it's just people who have ridiculous jazz chops and just ridiculous skills in general, playing like this music that, you know, you're supposed to dance and groove to, but that also has this really higher level theory to it. So I listened to a lot of gospel music growing up. And then when I kind of branched out, when I started playing bass, I listened to a lot of Stevie Wonder, old R&B, stuff like that, and then modern neo-soul like D'Angelo, and just stuff that has really good grooves and stuff that really kind of messes with where the beat is or where the time is. And then I got into college, and I feel like music's kind of like, you know, like when you're young, action movies are cool, right? Like standard action movies. But you get a little older, and you're like, I've seen that stuff before. I want something new, right? You know, the standard action formula kind of gets a little older as you get older, right? So I feel like that way with music, and I got into like really stupid, like esoteric, complicated stuff, like modern composers like Eric Whitacre and Steve Reich, who just John Cage. Like Steve Reich has a song called Clapping Music, which is literally just two people clapping, but it's the way the rhythms are written and they intersect with each other. And it's just like really simple rhythms, but the fact that it's two different people switching rhythms at different times and the way they intersect makes all these really complicated things happen. So stuff like that. And then I'm really big into jazz fusion. Like Snarky Puppy is my favorite band.
I want to nerd out on you as well. So. What does a bass player enjoy in Eric Whitacre music? And a lot of Eric Whitacre's composures were a bunch of dissonance and very much building of these like collective choral themes, right? And it's just this slow build. What do you enjoy in something like that?
It is the dissonance. Like I love extended harmonies and like just really dense, weird harmonies and non-functional harmony stuff like that. Like I was really into music theory when I was younger. Like I taught myself, I'd get books and just read it, and if I didn't understand it, I would read it again, and then I wouldn't understand it, and I'd read it again and again. So from a young age, I really got into music theory because the musicians I was around, the gospel musicians, just knew that stuff, and I would hear them talk about stuff, and like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? So once you do that and you start training your ear, you start hearing stuff in music. You're like, oh, that was a really cool like Neapolitan chord to use to like resolve back to the one. And so Eric Whitacre has a lot of that, where it's not your standard chord progression. You know, like if you've seen the Axis of Awesome, the 4 chords make up all these songs. Yeah. You know, that gets boring after a while just to the ear. Now you can do cool stuff and make cool songs out of that, but sometimes your ear just wants something like you're not expecting. Mm-hmm. Like Eric Whitacre has a lot of stuff where you're not going to guess what the next chord change is. And there's a lot of stuff like that in jazz fusion. And then there's this vocal group I really like called Room Full of Teeth. And it's a lot like Eric Whitacre, where it's very dissonant, weird harmonies just out of nowhere. And it's stuff that 99% of people are not going to like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But if you're really into music and you're just wanting something different, it's like a palate cleanser. Like your ears are not going to get comfortable. It's like work to listen to almost, but it's enjoyable.
Eric Whitacre makes for a terrible ringtone.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I tried in high school, and I'm like, Cloudburst, no. This didn't work.
Duddy, you got anything for us, man?
Well, I'm no music wizard like my bandmates here. The only answer I can give you is a simple one. I learned how to play music out of coffee shops, playing acoustic guitar mostly. In fact, it wasn't until we started adding more guitar players to Svenny Baby and the original members that I even learned how to pick up electric and play any kind of lead on it. My biggest influences were locals. Anyone I came in contact with, anyone I jammed with, I learned. Right. I learned from. I actually learned how to solo and piece together a melody from another guitarist we had in our band named Jesse Upchurch. He kind of inspired me on that path.
He's playing tonight, actually.
Oh.
That's kind of cool.
And it's funny. And then I learned how to do complex rhythm and like a folk style rhythm guitar from a different guitar player we had, Dawson Schott. Okay. And now I'm taking lessons from one of the biggest guitar gurus I know, and I've known since I've been playing guitar, Richard Blackwell. So to keep the answer simple, my influences come from people I meet, people I jam with. But as far as songwriting, I take a simple approach. I don't try to go over my own head with music theory. I hear, I listen, and if it sounds good, I run with it. Growing up, I listened to a lot of what my parents were listening to, so hippie music, Beatles, James Taylor, and I really got into Jason Mraz.
Right on.
And I try to copy his wordplay. I'm not that talented, but I aspire to be that good one day. So
there ain't no shame. That's kind of where he got started. Was Jason Mraz was
Yeah.
just playing coffee shops and playing stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And what's great is I went and saw him live a few years ago, and I saw him playing guitar. And he's like a guy you followed him from the beginning. You're like, man, I'm proud of how good he's gotten at guitar. good for Jason.
yeah.
I think going off what he's saying a little bit, he says to keep it simple. Like he likes to keep things simple, and that's such an important thing as musicians. Like we're very okay. We have a little bit of talent, just a little bit, you know.
Sure.
But we work very hard in our craft, and one thing that we sometimes as musicians have a problem with is we overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And they just kind of just make it easy.
It's a lot of fighting your own ego because you wanna, like, you don't want to play really simple. You want to play something because you want that person in the audience to be like, oh man, he's a really good bass player.
Right.
But sometimes, or actually most of the time, that's not what the song needs. The song needs something simple. And honestly, we probably have a little bit too much ego on this record, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably. In some places, probably a little bit too complex, where it should have been simpler to serve the song better. But like I feel like for almost all musicians, that's the struggle: is fighting your ego versus serving the song. And that's like a human thing, right? You know, fighting what your self-centeredness versus serving like like what's good for society or what's good for the collective. So you know, it's all about ego and trying to fight your own ego.
Spider-Man swing from that back into the Dark Tower stuff. So you guys have 2 tracks right now. Gunslinger and Drawing of the Three, and you guys were talking about possibly continuing that as a rock opera throughout the rest of the series. You want to talk a little bit more about that, or what you think the writing process would be like for it?
Well, Jonathan started working on the Wastelands, and we've got it. We're perforing it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we've got there's 3 parts now, and we're definitely gonna flesh it out. And then just hearing y'all talk about stuff gave us a lot of ideas too.
Inspiring.
But I think eventually, we'll release pieces here and there, and then hopefully have like a full record where it's everything with like some extras and like interludes to flesh things out.
So you guys are aware that the Dark Tower series has been optioned for a movie and a complimentary, like, concurrent television series, right?
Yeah.
That makes me very nervous.
Yeah, that's
that I agree with you. It makes me nervous, but it makes me hopeful too. If somebody who loves it as much as Peter Jackson loved Tolkien and stuff, maybe we can get something at least halfway good out of this.
Exactly. And that's actually how we introduce the song now. I'll go to the mic and be like, hey, this is based on The Dark Tower by Stephen King, soon to be a major motion picture by Sony Pictures. Please check it out.
Yeah.
And 2, that's one thing we hope to do with the music too, is like get people into that stuff. because that's such a great series that I feel like anyone would love.
Right.
You know, anybody. Like, it's because the characters are so real, and it is this weird fantasy stuff, but the way it's done is not like in kind of an off-putting way. You know, because
Yeah,
some
right.
people see like. You know, they're like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons, that's for geeks and nerds. But I feel like the Dark Tower, that's something you could get into. Like, my mom could get into that.
Right.
She's not into any nerdy stuff, but that's for everybody.
Yeah, it
It's-
combines Western and science fiction and fantasy and horror all into one thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Are you guys looking at maybe trying to shop your music around as a soundtrack or as like a feature?
If it happens, that'd be amazing.
Happens. You got to work for that.
I would
man.
love
Yeah,
that.
grab it.
Yeah.
I
Two
mean,
hands.
that's something I would fight for. Like, if we could just get like a song in the credits or something. Like,
Dude, yeah,
I mean,
that'd be
that's like
amazing.
a pipe dream, but that would be
Or like
amazing.
maybe sell it off as like a, because they're gonna have to have a promotional circuit with teasers and trailers and all that stuff. So maybe get something
Throw that
thrown in
throw
that
that
way.
trailer
Yeah,
out
we're
there.
trying to get it out there. Like we both went on the Dark Tower subreddit and the Stephen King
I'm on
subreddit. We
that.
said, hey, we're doing this. So
Check it out. And that's one of those things that's weird for me because I'm not good at like self-promotion.
Sure.
I don't like to be like, hey, you should check this out. Like, so that's something we try to do is like, hey, we strike a balance between like shoving it in people's faces, but just we need to let people know that our stuff is out there and exists.
That's right.
But I always have that feeling like, man, I don't want to be that guy because I hate it when I'm walking down the street and someone's like shoving their mixtape into my face. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
Which
not the
I've
time.
done.
That is an
man.
awkward
Not the-
scenario. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, on the stream of promoting yourself, where can people go hear you at? You got any shows coming up soon?
our next show
Is that the cellar?
is at the Cellar, and it's awesome. We have this band from Austin coming up called Animals for Hands, and they're playing with us.
Very cool.
But you guys can. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/Svenny Baby. We're on Twitter @Svenny Baby. We are on Instagram, same thing @Svenny Baby. We have a website, SvennyBabyMusic.com, and from there you can actually get our mailing list, which we send out one monthly email saying, "Hey, this is what's going on this month."
Very cool.
And we're on all the standard places too: Spotify, iTunes, Amazon.
Yeah, go
our
check it
albums
out.
on YouTube,
Yeah.
Google Play, Bandcamp,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Reverbnation. Like,
YouTube.com.
because there's a billion places to put your music, and you have to have it everywhere.
Right. So if you guys like what you hear on the podcast, definitely go check these guys out. Pick that album up. It's excellent stuff. So yeah, that'll kind of wrap this part up. We're going to talk a little bit of news in the next segment. You guys are more than welcome to hang out.
How about we rock this little town? How's the lyric go, Dustin? Okay, thanks, Dustin.
Still sore, my back's on the fringes. We tore up the walls, we slept on couches. We lifted this house, Firecrackers in the east, my car parks out. Your hands on my cheeks, your shadow in my mouth. I was up against the wall on the west mezzanine. We rattle this town, we rattle this scene. Oh,
Let the crowd sing it. Go, crowd.